Girl, again, like, I just, like, don't remember these characters' names. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Clover, of course, and we're going to be doing a different kind of video on my channel. I'm going to be reviewing a anime. So I'm a really big anime fan. I've talked about like how I went to Japan and I lived there for a little while, and I don't know like any Japanese. I mean, you know, basic phrases and stuff. But I wanted to talk about an anime that I've recently watched that is called, I can't even say the name, but it's HITORIJIME My Hero. And I want to review this anime because it was different. It was a lot different than the other like yaoi slash boys love anime that I've been watching recently. It just had like a lot of different themes in it that I think would be cool to talk about in a review style video because again, I love anime and manga. So let me know down below if you're also an anime and manga lover. Oh yeah, also if you don't want to be spoiled for this anime, this is going to include like spoilers. Like this is full on spoilers. So watch this review after you've watched the anime. The story follows two different couples. One couple is childhood friends, the other couple is childhood friends, but the other couple is a teacher and student relationship. So if you're not into teacher and student relationships or age gap, this isn't probably for you, but if you're into emotional boys love anime and also seeing toxic relationships play out and kind of like understanding and recognizing like toxic behaviors and the way that they plague all types of relationships, I definitely give this a watch because it's kind of a full-on memoir to toxicity in a relationship. That is the synopsis of the story, but it has really great emotional moments. It has really great art. The art and animation is quality, and the story is really unique and something that anybody can watch if you're not into emotional trauma and other kinds of toxicity that can be in a relationship. I wouldn't recommend it. So first I'm going to talk about the opener. I love the music in the opener. I think the opener isn't one of my favorite, but the music is so good. I would honestly recommend everybody like just take a look at the opener music. It's such a good song. Going into the beginning of this series, the main couple is Masahiro and Kasuke, and they're like the main couple, but they're like introduced not as a couple, obviously. They're still just teacher and student, and obviously as well childhood friends and kind of apprentice. Masahiro was like in a gang of some sorts when he was younger, but like the gang was kind of like taking advantage of him. Like he was just like the lapdog doing everything that they needed him to do. So when he met Kensuke, his friend, like they were both like kids. So when he met Kensuke, he like brought him over and they met Kasuke, and that was like the first time they met, and like, you know, different things happened and nothing like sexual. It was literally just all platonic friend. He was a friend of his little brother. Masahiro basically became Kasuke's like lapdog, but more like apprentice. You know, even in the start of the anime, he's like cleaning their house, cooking for them, like, you know, friendly things, but kind of like, again, like a bit of like the servant relationship. So it was already kind of starting a bit toxic, but it was like out of love, and Kasuke did save him from this gang. He ended up like beating them up as well, which was like interesting. So if you like a little bit of action as well, this anime definitely has that in it. Masahiro and Kasuke are like introduced as like kind of like the main couple we're probably gonna follow, but the first 2 or 3 episodes are fully about Asaya and Kensuke and kind of the relationship they have. So they basically fell out as childhood friends. Asaya comes back to school after he left. He left and they had like a traumatic friendship breakup, but actually like friends. And he comes back and Kensuke is like, okay, like let's try it. Like he's at first like really avoiding him, like literally like avoiding him everywhere. And then finally Asaya like gets him to like chat and like maybe start to like become friends again. He is like really weird. Like Asaya is basically her claims his love. And he's like, I love you, sleep with me or we can't be friends. First of all, very toxic. That is like the first thing that I was like, wait, what? Just like a really interesting way of professing your love. But basically like Kensuke is just kind of, you know, I have always liked him. They've always liked each other, but like he just, you know, Kensuke just couldn't like recognize those feelings. But like also I would say like probably a little bit of manipulation, because he literally was like, I will do this to be friends with him. Like I want to make sure that we're still friends, which I thought was slightly toxic to like, you know, kind of like dangle that over his head. But like eventually like he actually doesn't dangle it over his head, and they like, you know, they get together, they start dating. It's like super emotional, but it's also kind of boring. I would say the Kensuke Asaya relationship is like kind of boring, and you kind of know what's going to happen. Like there's really no twists in it. It's kind of just like really, really toxic in the beginning. Then it gets really good, and they're a couple. It's also interesting to note that when they become a couple, like it's so natural. Like nobody even like cares. It's almost like they're living in a world where like same-sex relationships, like, you know, there's no difference. It's like, you know, their friends are literally so accepting, but there is difference. Like, Kensuke is like still in the beginning battling like why he's into a guy. Like, why would you want to be with me? I'm a guy. Their friends literally like don't care. Like their whole friend group is like, they literally don't say anything. They're just like, whatever. So they get together. I kind of like honestly wasn't paying attention to their relationship. I would say like it wasn't my favorite relationship. I just did not like that start. Like that was kind of toxic and like low-key triggering for their start to be like, not like forced, but a little bit of like manipulation involved. But let's move on to Masahiro and Kasuke. So again, like I said before, Kasuke is Kensuke's older brother. And they've known Masahiro for such a long time because Masahiro is like, I wouldn't say like poor. He doesn't have like a father either. Like he's literally like basically on his own. And so he like falls into like some gang stuff. But then Kasuke like saves him. And Kasuke has like a reputation of being like a fighter and like someone really strong. And that's like where like the Hitojime my hero comes from. So like Masahiro sees him as his hero. So it's, again, this relationship also has like pretty toxic elements in it because there is like a really strong power imbalance in these two characters because again, Masahiro is seeing Kasuke as like his mentor. Well, he is like also his teacher and he sees him as like his hero because he saved him. He like gave him like some purpose, still giving him purpose. So I thought that was like a really interesting element to like their relationship and interesting because, you know, childhood friends is very lived out. Teacher student is very lived out. But this is kind of a different take on teacher and student because it's like mentor and student, but also like savior. So it's a little bit of that savior complex. And Masahiro eventually starts like growing feelings for Kasuke. And they have like this crazy interaction. Basically, Kasuke literally is like, I know you're into me. I know you like me. You shouldn't. You can't like me. I don't have any of those feelings for you. I will never reciprocate them for you. The way he says it is he's like, I could never reciprocate those feelings. I could never like you back as well. And it's like crazy. It's like so weird because then Masahiro is literally just like shook. Because he says nothing. Like he literally has said nothing up until this point about feeling attracted to him, about liking him. They're literally just vibing. Literally Kasuke is like, I know you're into me. I know that you like me. And like Masahiro is like shook. So in episode 6, I'm literally rewatching the anime right now. But in episode 6, Masahiro falls back into like some gang activity, and that's when he like kind of pulls back from his friends like he did a long time ago. And that's when in episode 7 he finally is confessed to by Kasuke because Kasuke is like, oh, you're the one I really like. I don't want you to avoid me, like, and I don't want you to get hurt. Like he's like, why are you, and then he's like, why did you literally rejected me? Like he's literally like, you freaking rejected me, which I thought was, you know, crazy because it's like, you know, the rejection happened and I understood that. Like I understood the rejection because I was like, yeah, like this man is older, way older, that this relationship shouldn't be happening. So I understood why Kasuke was like, you know, I might have feelings for you, but I can't act on them. I like totally understood that. I was like, okay, I respect that. But I was like, are they just gonna end this relationship? But then like it kept going, obviously. I would say the action, like, you know, the biggest action in the anime is like in this episode after he confesses, Kasuke then attacks the gang because they're like looking for Masahiro because they're, you know, he's fallen back with the gang. And then they get into this like huge fight where it's like Kasuke and Masahiro against like, you know, just a huge amount of like gang members. During the fight, Masahiro gets like stabbed. He literally tries to protect Kasuke and he gets stabbed by this like one weird character that I haven't talked about, but throughout he's like a gang member and he has like some special, like certain eyes for Masahiro. I don't think it's like attraction or love. Like it's explained later that like they're very similar and there might be like some jealousy there, like that like he's found someone who protects him and loves him because the other character doesn't have that. I don't remember the character's name, but it was like pretty traumatic. The stabbing, I was like, oh my god. So again, trigger warning, if you don't like violence, I would probably skip episode 7 because that's where like he gets stabbed. And towards the end of episode 7 is when Masahiro and Kasuke share their first kiss. I'll say like the sexual aspect of their relationship is another toxic part. So I would say like this anime, HITORIJIME My Hero, like literally is like an exploration of toxic relationships because first of all, this relationship isn't healthy because it's between an adult and a non-consenting adult. So that's already one of the aspects of it. And the second aspect is the sexual relationship between them has a weird dynamic. So it's mostly like Kasuke obviously initiating, and Masahiro is obviously attracted to him, but like he's again like young and he's like a kid, so he doesn't necessarily know how to act on it. But I would say like Kasuke like kind of like incites him. He's like, I want you to like push more into this. I want you to put more energy into like making me feel good, which I thought was like an interesting element that I have seen explored before in different BL animes, but I thought it was like very unique because of their situation in terms of like him being the hero to Masahiro. So I would say that they like obviously like are building this relationship. It's going like up and down. And I would say another really interesting point and time period for this relationship is when their friends find out. So when the friends find out about the relationship, most of them are like very accepting and they're literally like, oh, that's fine. Which again, like kind of red flag. If I saw that my friend was having a relationship with a teacher, I might be like a little bit shook. So Mitsuru is like grossed out by their relationship for whatever reason, which like is understandable, but his reasons were like just kind of weird. Like he was like, oh, like you're not gonna spend time with like our friend group and like, you know, all this stuff. Like he was almost like jealous, I would say. So going back to that incident, they like have a conversation, Masahiro and Mitsuru, they have like a confrontation where he's like, why are you so upset? And he's like, I, you know, want to be close with you, as like, you know, they still want to be friends. They don't want this like changing the friendship. And he was literally like, it's not that deep. He was like, oh yeah, like, of course, like I still want to be friends. Like I still love you. Like not love you, but like he didn't say that, but like, it's like, we're still friends. And I was like, okay, that was like such a weird divulge of like the plot, but I guess like it made sense for one of the people to take offense, but I didn't think he took offense for like the right reason. Like he did kind of talk about the teacher student thing, but like I don't know, it was like just a little bit weird, that like incident, because I was like, I don't know, you know, if I were to see that type of situation, I would more so just be really worried for the, you know, younger character and be like, this is like not that, you know, this is not okay. Like I think he did have some of that similar kind of thought process. Looking back at Kasuke and Masuhiro's relationship, they end up breaking up because like Masahiro is just like feeling very much pressure in the relationship, and he's also feeling like he's kind of like holding Kasuke back and doesn't want to like ruin his life, which like again like slightly toxic that like he's feeling that way when like, he's not the one like causing this for Kasuke. Like you know what I mean? Like Kasuke was the one who like made the move to like start this relationship and start doing things with Masahiro. He was like fine with just like loving him from like afar, but like obviously still being like friends and close with him. So I thought that was like a little bit weird, but they end up getting back together towards the end of the anime, and there's actually like a proposal or like an engagement or something. Like there's an exchange of some rings, which it was interesting. Like the exchange of rings, there was like a commitment made that like they would continue, because again, like Kasuke was like, you know, you're the love of my life. He's been saying that like the whole time now. He's like, you're the only one I like I don't like anyone else. And Masahiro is like, you know, he's like a little bit adverse to the relationship because he's kind of just like, he loves Kasuke, but he kind of like is a bit self-sabotaging to the relationship, and he's like, oh, I don't want to like ruin you. You're such a great person, you know, you're my hero, you're like the best person around, like I don't feel worthy. And like very interesting. Like I would say like this story, it's like the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, I don't think I liked this anime. Like I think I liked it because I liked the depictions of a toxic relationship, and it showed the toxic relationship. I think a lot of the times there is a toxic relationship going on in an anime, whether that's like an age gap, yaoi, or like any other type of yaoi. This is like, of course, like an illegal age gap. Masahiro is like 16 and Kasuke is like, you know, way over the legal age. So that's like something already really toxic in the beginning of the anime. But this shows like toxic relationships in an anime, and like it shows it to you in like a not romanticized way. Like it's not romanticized. They are romanticizing it because they obviously get together at the end, but like you see what's happening and you're like in your head, you're like, oh, this is you know, I'm aware. Like, I'm aware that this is like really toxic, and you're really aware for that first relationship. I was so aware. I didn't like that other relationship. I did not like Asaya and Kensuke. I thought that was like, I think that was a trash relationship. It was so manipulative. Asaya is not a redeeming character. Probably like the, you know, like I said, this anime has like a lot of issues with character development. Asaya has no character development whatsoever, like such slight character development. Same with Kensuke. He's like kind of just like this slightly annoying, like loud, feminine type of guy. And he's kind of like that the whole time. The only one that gets any form of character development is Masahiro. He's kind of just nice and shy throughout the whole thing with everything, whether that's like his feelings for Kasuke, acting on those feelings for Kasuke. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know, now that I'm like talking about it, I'm like, I don't think I loved this anime. Like at first when I think I came out of, I binged this. So I binged the whole series, and I think that's why I came out of it in such a good place, because I was like, the ending was really sweet. I loved the ending. Obviously, I'm a degenerate for being okay with a 16-year-old getting engaged to a 25-year-old or 26-year-old, 27-year-old. I don't know. I think it was well done in the way that they kind of did get back together, but it was, again, like not... It was a lot of like miscommunications, which I don't love in anime, but like animes have to have miscommunications. Like if you watch anime, you know 90% of relationship troubles are because of like miscommunication, which, you know, it's like a trope, but I think this relationship did have tropes in it, but it was different kinds of tropes. I would say the thing that really saving for this anime for me is a slightly unique art style. It is jarring at first when you watch it. Not jarring, but if you've watched a lot of anime recently, you know, everything kind of is starting to look the same, besides like, you know, Devilman Crybaby or like some of those, that studio's anime, those look very different. But this anime has a little bit of a unique art style in the sense of like the eyes and some of the character designs. I would say that for me was a saving grace. The characters looked very unique without having to give someone like pink hair. Because I think that's like the thing that with anime and with BL and with, you know, anything that just revolves around having multiple men in anime, the artist isn't able to give them unique enough features that they have to like literally give them like pink hair so you know which one is which. And I think this one did a really good job of giving features. So Masahiro looks so unique as a BL main character. Like he has like some very wide set eyes, and I thought that was cool. That it kind of like made me feel like I knew who Masahiro was. He stood out in between the characters. Kasuke looked very typical of like our, you know, main love, you know, the unattainable love interest. He like, you know, was attractive and tall. And then Asaya and Kensuke did have like some basic designs, but the characters did stand out from each other, except for the side characters. Mitsuhiro just kind of like faded into the background for me. And like some of the other characters, some of Kasuke's friends, they did kind of fade into the background. They just were like, you know, talking to him about his emotions and his feelings and trying to help him work through those. But overall, I would still recommend watching this anime. It's a really easy watch, I would say. Like, I literally just binged it in one night, watched the whole thing. It was an easy watch. Like, I did do a little bit of skipping, some slight skipping. I kind of just low-key skipped through the first relationship. I would say you could possibly skip the first 2 episodes. You could just start in episode 3. And that's why I don't know if I want to read the manga, because I don't like Asaya and Kensuke's relationship. I don't like it at all. Not saying that I love Masahiro and Kasuke's relationship, but it's so much more interesting to watch. I objectively don't like their relationship because it is so toxic, and again, it is age gap. So like, you know, morally, I don't like it, but it's a very interesting relationship to watch unfold, other than the other couple. Like, it's so boring. Their story, I'm like, you know, really manipulative, really toxic, and kind of like, also, but like boring and predictable. You can't be that toxic, but be that predictable at the same time. I think overall, I gave this anime on my anime list, I gave it like a 7, but I think I might take it down to a 6. It's an anime that I think you have to watch to decide on your own. It's really enjoyable to watch, but once you finish that last episode and you start critically thinking about what just happened on your screen, you're like, oh no, I didn't like parts of it. The anime introduces our main couple, which is Masahiro and Kasuke, and I was instantly like interested in the relationship, but then it like twists to the other relationship that I don't like for 2 episodes. So I basically just skipped through those basically. I just was like tap, tap, tap. I watched it on Amazon Prime. And I just like kept skipping through it. But then it goes back to Masahiro and Kasuke for literally the rest of the show. And that was enjoyable for me to watch. I think it's a 7. I think it's a solid 7 BL anime that I think is like, you know, watch it if you like that. Watch it if you're like low-key a degenerate like me. Entertain an age gap relationship. But don't watch it if that makes you super uncomfortable or you're triggered by like low-key some sexual manipulation. I would say that's like a warning for this anime because I definitely was like a bit triggered those first 2 episodes because I've had a similar situation happened to me where someone let's do something sexual or not be friends anymore. And I was like, oh my god, triggered. No, I'm fine, honestly. I would say definitely if you've been in any situations like that, don't watch this anime. But I would recommend it. I would recommend this anime. It's a really easy watch. It's only 12 episodes. I don't think there's no plans for like another season. It's just, you know, it's a one-shot 12 episode anime. There's no English dub, it's just subs, but you better like your subs, like but definitely give it a watch. I give it a 7 out of 10. Let me know down below in the comments if you've seen HITORIJIME My Hero and if you also gave it a 7 or even a lower score. I think on my anime list, it's a 7.38, but the art, the sounds, the voice acting, it's all really great. It's all solid. I think where it falls the shortest is the story. Like the character development is really weak for all the other characters besides our second main couple. I think that's the video. Let me know down below if you like these anime reviews. I honestly had a really good time filming. I think I'll get better as I keep doing these reviews and I can really succinctly get my thoughts together. And maybe I'll write a script for the next one because I literally did have a little bit of a script. Because like middle of filming, I had to go back and rewatch episode 7 in the last episode just to make sure I knew exactly what happened. Overall, I would give this anime, again, like a 7. I would definitely recommend it to a friend if you're into this kind of anime. If you're not into boys love, this is not the anime for you. This is literally not. Like, don't watch this if you're not into it. Because it is, at the end of the day, just kind of like a bit of a toxic relationship. And by toxic, like it is a toxic relationship. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel. Let me know down below if you want to see more anime reviews. And until next time, bye!